Two men both driven by their family's legacy, their message.
That message is why I do what I do.
What I'm doing is my family's legacy.
A message we find out isn't so pure after all. That they're squeaky clean idols, their parents actually have a bit more dirt in their closet.
He found shocking family secrets.
Both overcoming the initial desire to do things for their parents after a heart-to-heart with their old mentor, and instead to do things just for hope.
People need hope.
But that is being human.
One a pessimist,
You assume the worst in people.
and another an optimist.
You trust everyone and think everyone you've ever met is, like, beautiful.
Also with a polite butler, a secret headquarters, and a love interest that keeps them on their toes. Here's something that'll grab your attention. David Corenswet's Superman in the same universe, the same film as Robert Pattinson's Batman. To comic fans, we know this duo as the world's finest. Two icons, two pillars of DC mythology, but on film, that's a different challenge entirely. We're talking about Matt Reeves' grounded, noir-inspired take on Gotham, colliding with James Gunn's bold, fantastical vision of Metropolis. The question isn't, can it be done? Because I think the answer is a loud, fuck yeah, it can. The question is, should it be done? And that's where we start bumping into bigger, messier ideas about the sovereignty of Reeves' Batman universe, and whether it should remain a self-contained work of art, or be absorbed into the machinery of the burgeoning DC cinematic universe. The common pushback goes something like this. Robert Pattinson's Batman is too grounded to exist in a fantastical world. To which I say, look at Iron Man. That first MCU movie was surprisingly grounded. Its tech was plausible, its tone was restrained, and yet, within a few short years, that same Tony Stark was bantering with Norse gods and fighting aliens in deep space. Grounded doesn't mean incompatible. It means you build the bridge slowly, brick by brick.
Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards.
Another objection is that the styles are just too different. Yeah, that's the point. The contrast, the clash of light and shadow is exactly what makes a pairing like this so electric on screen. It's the same energy that made the first Avengers so satisfying.
Mr. Stark.
Captain?
Tony Stark's swagger bouncing off Steve Rogers' earnestness. It's about friction, because when every character quips the same, acts the same, and every film is shot through the same visual filter, you end up with homogeneity, the Marvel house style problem. Batman and Superman can coexist, but they shouldn't blend into one tone. They should feel like they've been plucked out from both of their worlds and dropped into the same frame, and the audience should feel that collision. Now, the usual shorthand for these characters is that Superman equals hope and Batman equals vengeance.
I'm vengeance.
But that's too shallow of a reading. Both characters represent hope. They just wear it differently. In the Batman, Bruce begins as an agent of vengeance and ends with the realization that Gotham doesn't just need fear, it needs hope.
I have to become more.
His final monologue captures that transformation perfectly.
People need hope.
Superman, on the other hand, starts with hope and never shakes. He sees the potential for goodness even in cynics.
My point is, I question everything.
Lois sums it up pretty perfectly.
You trust everyone and think everyone you've ever met is, like, beautiful.
Batman looks for flaws, but he's wired like a detective. Superman looks for strengths because he's wired like a friend. Put them together and you get the perfect push and pull. The investigative pessimist forced to confront a man who refuses to give up on anyone. Look, handled right, Superman's influence on Batman could ripple through Batman's own films in really powerful ways. Picture this. In their first meeting, a world's finest movie, Superman plants a seed in Bruce's mind about approachability, about inspiring rather than intimidating, which is in line with the path Bruce was already going down at the end of The Batman. Then, in a follow-up Batman movie, maybe The Brave and the Bold, Bruce takes in an orphan Dick Grayson. This time, he doesn't just offer protection, he offers hope. He trades in the black and grey armour for a classic blue and grey suit, a visual cue that is embraced colour, embraced connection, also shown with the developing relationship he has with Dick. Now that kind of character evolution doesn't just serve Batman, it makes the world's finest interaction feel essential. Now, it doesn't need to be one-sided either. Batman can equally inspire Superman. Superman might be interested to the emblem Batman has, and Batman says that it's a symbol made of the gun that murdered his parents. That he wears it because it reminds him of them. This gives Clark the idea to ditch the House of L emblem and don the classic Superman symbol we know. So the change in symbol shows his shifting allegiance, from being a custodian of the House of L to a custodian of humanity, representing hope, leaning into the name Superman. So this is nice and all, I guess we can see the vision here, but this is where we pivot. Just because it can be done, does that mean it should be done? Now, this is the tug of war DC has been wrestling with for over a decade now. Creative freedom versus building a shared universe. On one side, you have the artistic purity of a filmmaker like Reeves, creating a Gotham that answers to no one but itself. On the other, you have the intoxicating promise of an interconnected story. Those moments when a hero turns a corner and another one is just standing there. Now, the positives of a shared universe are obvious. Bigger stakes, richer crossovers, and the thrill of seeing characters you love share the screen. Seeing these larger-than-life personalities bouncing off against one another. The drawbacks, however, are very clear as well. Creative compromises, tonal flattening, and the risk that every film becomes just another chapter in a never-ending setup machine.
Got you, fuckface.
You've worked on Marvel and DC films. How do the two universes differ in terms of tone, style, and approach to storytelling?
But to me, DC has hindsight. They can see what happened to Marvel and make sure it doesn't happen to them.
What both MCU and DCU need to do is to have a wider range of tones than they presently do.
How they lost the voice of the creator for a larger story, how they started to treat characters' journeys as checkpoints to a larger narrative rather than placing the gravity on their immediate quests. So, what do? Isolate or crossover? In my opinion, I could go either way. I can see Pattinson's Batman existing in the DCU. I can also see him thriving as an Elseworld story, untouched by continuity. But if I'm being real, this is where I feel DC could miss an amazing opportunity. You've got two young actors, Cohen Sweat and Pattinson, both perfectly cast for their roles, both in the physical prime and creative prime of their careers, and you never let them share the screen? That's not being cautious, that's just a missed opportunity, but let's speak to that for a second. Let's unpack why Gunn might want to keep Reeves' Gotham completely separate. It comes down to creative freedom. Matt Reeves has built a Gotham that doesn't just tell a story, it breathes in its own air. The rain, the grime, the slow burning pacing, the intimacy of its shadows, the bokeh and the blur and the warmth of the frame. All of it is a carefully constructed tone that could be diluted the moment it has to make room for alien invasions, magic artifacts, or heroes from a different time. Creative freedom means preserving that singular voice, taking narrative risks without worrying about franchise crossovers, and avoiding the tonal sameness that often creeps into large cinematic universes. In that sense, isolation isn't playing it safe, it's doubling down on what makes Reeves' vision distinct, because while a crossover might be exciting in the short term, there's also a value in letting a filmmaker's Gotham remain unbent, uncompromised, and entirely its own. Sometimes the best way to serve a character is not by expanding their world, but by protecting it. But this is where I really want to throw the question at you guys. Where do you guys stand? Would you rather see Reeves' Gotham remain an untouched Elseworlds, or do you think the allure of a crossover is just too good to pass up, that Cohen Sweat's Superman and Pattinson's Batman need to share the screen at least once? And maybe the bigger question is, can DC actually strike the balance that Marvel eventually lost, where filmmakers keep their voice and the stories still connect? I really want to hear your take. Drop your thoughts below, because at the end of the day, this isn't just about two characters meeting, it's about what kind of stories we want the future of DC to tell. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.